Together, we're protecting what matters most. Our home, our community, our way of life, the people we care about, and the future we're building. Through technology, innovation, and commitment, we're safeguarding water today and planning for tomorrow, so we can all have the water we need for generations to come. Learn how to do your part at srpnet.com/water.
Good morning, students.
Professor Ramona and I are going to be working on fractions today.
Encuentra el país.
Down, couple sheep!
Excuse me.
Teachers are doing whatever it takes to connect with their students.
202.
And Cox is too, by connecting over 125,000 eligible students in need with low-cost internet.
Who wants to see it again?
With the Connect to Compete program from Cox.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Quiero darles la bienvenida a todos ustedes. I'm Natalie Valenzuela with Univision. It's so crazy that just last year we were all in the same room together having breakfast, but silver lining, you're probably at home in your PJs having your cafecito, así es que provecho. I'm so pleased to join you this morning. Es un placer estar aquí con ustedes. On behalf of the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, thank you all for being here for the release of the 24th edition of DATOS, the State of Arizona's Hispanic Market. DATOS is the single most comprehensive collection of research data on Arizona's Hispanic market. No other chamber of commerce in the country produces a similar report. DATOS is one of a kind. During today's program, you'll hear from Monica Villalobos, the Arizona Hispanic Chamber President and CEO, who also serves as the DATOS Publications Editor, and our keynote speaker, Dr. Victor Rios. As viewers here today, you will receive access to a copy of the full DATOS in the Chamber's post-event email communication. You will be asked to fill out a brief survey, but will be given access to the report upon completion. We got to make you work for it a little bit, but trust me, it's going to be worth it. The Chamber invites you to let the world know you're tuning in today via your favorite social media platforms. You're probably already on social media anyway right now by using hashtag DATOS2020. You can snap and post your photo using the TapSnap virtual photo booth link in the chat. We also want to recognize our premier event sponsor, SRP, and our other event sponsors, Cox Communications, APS, and the Mayo Clinic. Now let's get on with the program. What do you say? Today's premier sponsor and a founding sponsor of this event is Salt River Project. I am honored to welcome Associate GM and Chief Public Affairs Executive for SRP, Rob Taylor, joining us live via Zoom. Good morning.
Well, good morning, everyone. On behalf of SRP, thank you for joining us this morning to celebrate the release of the 24th annual supports the significant work of Monica Villalobos and the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And we are honored to once again sponsor this important event as we close out Hispanic Heritage Month. For more than 2 decades, the facts, figures, and information compiled in the DATOS report have educated and enlightened community leaders, elected officials, CEOs, and entrepreneurs about the incredible influence and growing power of our state's Hispanic consumers. At SRP, we have always viewed the DATOS as much more than just market intelligence. DATOS sends a strong message about the power of community and the power of individuals who will shape our state in the years ahead. It's a clear reminder that diversity makes our community stronger, more successful, and more vibrant. We embrace the spirit at SRP, and we're working to strengthen our own culture of diversity, inclusion, respect, and belonging. On behalf of SRP's executive leadership, our elected board, and our more than 5,000 employees, thank you for helping to build the Arizona that we all know is possible. I'll leave you today with a fun and colorful video we produced to celebrate our employees for Hispanic Heritage Month. Please be safe and stay healthy, and hopefully next year we'll all be in the same room together. Thank you.
Tony, Samantha, Wayne, Steve and Mary. SRP employees are working hard every day to deliver water and power throughout the valley. Y no paramos aquí. And we don't stop there. This Hispanic Heritage Month, we're celebrating employees whose contributions are making our communities stronger. Read their stories, learn why we're proud, and see how we're working juntos por un mejor Arizona.
Muchísimas gracias a SRP and Rob for your words and continued support of this event and program, especially during these challenging times. We really appreciate it. Now, I would like to introduce the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Board Chair and Manager Strategic Partnerships, Miguel Bravo.
Welcome to the 24th Annual DATOS, the State of Arizona's Hispanic Market. I am Miguel Bravo, Chairman of the Board of the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining us. For nearly a quarter century, your Hispanic Chamber has produced DATOS with the goal of advancing a broader and deeper understanding of the growth and changing dynamics of the Hispanic market and its fundamental role in the development and prosperity of our state. As many of you know, we recently lost one of our long-standing board members and former board chair, Doug Yonko of Hensley Beverage Company. Doug was a champion for our community, a fierce advocate for education, and someone who helped lead us in so many ways. He will be greatly missed. Doug understood that Latinos represent the future of Arizona, which is why we're here today. DATOS represents the most comprehensive compilation of research and indicators on the impact of Hispanics on Arizona's economy. In addition, the report highlights critical issues that require our collective attention to unleash the potential for decades to come, because we all know that the well-being of Latinos reflects the well-being of the state of Arizona. This year, we are exploring the issue of Latino education, and we welcome award-winning author and speaker Dr. Victor Rios. I look forward to his thought-provoking keynote. Latino education is an issue that matters to us. For more than a decade, with support from education, philanthropic, and corporate leaders, your Hispanic Chamber has scaled up scholarship programs, provided support services to first-generation students, and internships to increase access to higher education and empower students to succeed through college and beyond. But we recognize that we must do more to ensure equitable educational outcomes and opportunities for all students, so we can develop a strong workforce for the future. Speaking of champions of education, a big thank you to SRP, our presenting sponsor for DATOS for the 15 consecutive years. To our friend Rob Taylor, we appreciate partnership, his steadfast support, and participation in today's program. I also want to recognize Yolanda France, another SRP leader that goes above and beyond. She has served as our honorary chair of DATOS for 5 consecutive years. Thank you, Yolanda. Without SRP's partnership and involvement, and that of Vitalist Health Foundation, Cox Communications, and APS, DATOS would not be possible. Special thanks to Governor Doug Ducey and Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego for joining us today. To Monica Villalobos, the amazing DATOS Content Committee and production team, thank you for contributing to this very important report.
Thank you so much, Miguel. And now I have the honor of introducing the governor of our great state of Arizona, Governor Doug Ducey.
This is Governor Doug Ducey saying hello and welcome to everyone at the 24th Annual DATOS Conference. Earlier this month, it was my honor to recognize Hispanic Heritage Month and the countless ways Arizona is enriched by our Hispanic community. From our culture to the arts to our history and more, Arizona values the contributions of the more than 2.2 million Hispanic people who call our state home. And this year's DATOS report shows that the economic power of Arizona's Hispanic community is only getting stronger. I'm grateful to the team at the Arizona Hispanic Chamber for recognizing the importance of education in creating a stronger Arizona. Working alongside you as partners, I know the best is yet to come. Thank you, God bless, muchas gracias, and enjoy your conference.
Our Hispanic community is definitely only getting stronger. Thank you, Governor Ducey. The Chamber appreciates your continued support and leadership. Now, please join me in welcoming Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego.
Hello, I'm Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego, and I'm excited to celebrate the 24th DATOS. I always look forward to this event and the powerful data telling the story of the huge economic impact of our Hispanic community. As a person with a business degree and a data nerd, it is so useful to see this picture of the economic power and what it means in our community. Thank you so much to the Hispanic Chamber for creating this important tool. I also want to thank Monica for her leadership of the Hispanic Chamber during unprecedented times. As someone who had to respond to COVID during her first year as mayor, I have been so impressed with how Monica has had to respond to COVID during her first year leading the Hispanic Chamber. The Hispanic Chamber has partnered with us, helping get out information about our aid programs to our small businesses and being an important resource about what our small businesses and all of our businesses need during this important time. Although the economic impact has been hard on everyone, because of great partnerships, including ours with the Hispanic Chamber, our data is a little bit stronger than many of our peer cities. You're going to see a great picture today of what is happening. We are a majority-minority city, and we have a impressive and powerful Latino community that you'll get to see a more in-depth picture of today. I hope that you have a wonderful conference and that we'll be together in person next year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Gallego. We appreciate your words and leadership. Now it's time to hear from someone who can help us apply the data that we're about to share. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming El Dr. Victor Rios. Dr. Rios is the Dean of Social Sciences and Professor of Sociology at the University of California, Santa Barbara. Adelante.
Hola, bueno, very, very honored to be here. This is a very special moment. Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, thank you so much for the incredible work you do to promote the well-being of the Latino community in Arizona and beyond. And I'm just happy to be here because what I'm learning from the work that you do is that we can replicate this in other markets, in other areas. I know that places like where I'm at in California really, really would benefit from an incredible DATOS-like project where you collect extensive data. My own journey begins when I'm very young, very little. I did not have a good upbringing. I had a father that was not present. He abandoned me before I was even born. And my mother, you know, she struggled. She was a hard worker, an immigrant, and she worked 10, 12 hours a day. And my brother and I paid the price because she didn't have adequate childcare. So she would lock the door from the outside of the house, and we couldn't get out because that was her childcare, you know, us taking care of ourselves. My brother was 7, I was 3 years old, and my brother would have to take care of me for 10 to 12 hours a day. So a little kid taking care of another little kid. And today we see that in our families, there's still that hard work ethic where sometimes, you know, our children are not doing so well because their parents are constantly working. So an important factor, I think, is to consider how do we support families in terms of providing adequate healthcare and education to their children. And that's something that's crucial to really understand, that the more education opportunities we provide Latino children, the more likely they are to succeed in life. So as I'm growing up in this journey, as I'm growing up in poverty, not having a lot of resources, I get really desperate. And I remember a pivotal moment. I was 8th grade, and my little cousin, he was a baby, he was an infant, he was sleeping in his crib, and we didn't have an adequate opportunity to have good housing. So my little cousin, he was 2 months old. We were living in this condemned apartment building because of the housing situation was bad. We didn't have enough money to pay rent. And in the middle of the night, while my little cousin is sleeping, we had rats in our apartment complex, and those rats crawled on his crib and they started to chew his face up. And at this moment, I remember telling myself, I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to be poor. So in 8th grade, I dropped out of high school and I ended up getting a job. I was pushing lawnmowers, and I was thinking that working hard, 10 hours a day, pushing lawnmowers would help me help my family out. But I was only making $1 an hour, $10 a day. So that wasn't enough. So I ended up getting in trouble. I ended up on the streets. I ended up going in and out of juvie because I was doing bad things. I was stealing cars, selling the parts so I could make money. It was desperate times. And I'm out of juvenile hall the third time. And one day I'm with my friend, and we're on the other side of town visiting some girls we met. And we run into a group of guys that didn't like us, and they ended up pulling out a gun. And my friend ended up dead. And we were only 15 years old at the time. I didn't know where to go from there. I didn't know who to turn to. So I went to the one place where one person had told me she would be there for me. I went to school to look for my teacher. And when I get to school, I find my teacher. Her name was Miss Russ. And she was the kind of teacher that was always in your business. She was the kind of teacher that was always trying to help you. But I didn't appreciate her at the time. But in this vulnerable moment in my life, I ended up deciding to reach out to her. And she started to help me. She started to guide me. She started to provide me educational opportunities. Here's this kid, a children of an immigrant woman that worked hard, but did not know how to guide me in school because she only had a third grade education. And here I am, not knowing the system, not knowing how to graduate high school, not knowing how to get to college or what college was even about. And this teacher starts to connect me with mentors, people in the business community. She connected me with this guy that was a manager at a bank, and she wanted him to mentor me. And I'll be honest with you, at first I'm this street kid, and the guy would invite me to lunch. I didn't even like hanging out with him, but I would go to hang out with him for a free lunch. And but when I talked to him, he would talk to me about financial planning. He would talk to me about college. He would talk to me about a future for myself. And I started to become convinced that a kid that's growing up poor, with a mother with a third grade education, and that's struggling every day with a record, that maybe I could go to college. So I was convinced. I ended up applying to college. I get to college, and it was tough. I'm not going to lie. College was tough for a working class kid, but I took advantage of educational opportunities there. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that we have to create more educational opportunities so more of our children, our Latino children in the state of Arizona, can move socially upward, that they have opportunities to be able to say, oh my goodness, you know, I don't have much in life. Oh my goodness, my parents are struggling. Oh my goodness, I don't know what college is. But, however, despite all of this, I have mentors teaching me how to get to college and what college is all about. Despite all of this, I have programs that are helping me understand why school is important. And despite all of these obstacles I'm facing, there are people there who care about me in the state of Arizona. Providing these opportunities for our students allows them to move beyond that world of struggling, beyond the world of inadequate housing, beyond the world of disparate health outcomes, and beyond the world of not making enough to support a family. And we see that data in DATOS, right? That's why DATOS is so important. It shows the disparities. It shows that our Latino students are not doing as well as other students. And that's where we need to step it up in the business community, in the political community, in the education community, and in the citizen community. We need to step it up and say, we're going to take care of these children as an entire society. It takes a village to raise Latino children in the state of Arizona. So let's become that village. So in my journey in college, I end up deciding that I don't want to just stop there. I also want to go and receive a higher degree. I was inspired to help my community, to help my family. And so after undergraduate, I applied to University of California, Berkeley. I was accepted, And 5 years later, in the year 2005, I became Dr. Victor Rios. And in that moment, I kept thinking about all the people that had been there for me. My teacher, my mentor who was part of the business community, people that had told me, you can do it. Doesn't matter where you come from, it's where you're at and the work you're putting in. Those educational opportunities allowed me to become who I am today. I'm now an author of 6 books, college professor, and associate dean at my university. And I continue to do the good work of trying to pay it forward, trying to help other young people who are struggling. I graduated Berkeley on a Sunday. On a Monday, I was at the bank asking for a home loan. And I get to the bank. I didn't know the whole system, how it worked. I learned how to work the system. I received the home loan. And a few weeks later, a couple months later, I end up with a key to a house, a new house. I drove to my mom's apartment, knocked on her door, put my hand in my pocket, pulled out the key and said, Mom, I'm sorry you had to wait 30 years for a proper place to live, but here are the keys to a home of your own. And so I guess what I'm trying to say here is that when we provide educational opportunities for Latino children, when we provide mentoring for them, when we provide employment opportunities, that what we're doing is we're allowing them a platform to improve their lives and improve the lives of their families and the lives of their communities. That's the work that the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Arizona is doing. That's the work that DATOS is doing in collecting all this important information. That's the work that their business partners who are there to support the Latino community, not just because they're good consumers, but because we care about communities that sometimes get left behind. And out of those principles, we're going to continue to grow the health and the wellness and well-being of the Latino community in Arizona. So as I conclude here, I'll leave you with a little story because it reminded me of how my educational opportunities allow me to have a better future outlook for my. That when we as a community push for our children to see a future that they might not have even begun to imagine, by providing them educational opportunities and resources, that these children start to see that maybe they can be someone important one day. I was getting ready to graduate high school and my teacher, she tells me, Victor, I'm so proud of you. I knew you could do it. I've always relied on you and your resilience. And she said, I know one day you will meet presidents. And I started laughing. I'm like, Miss Russ, estás loca, you're crazy. 20 years later, after writing a book on the criminalization of Black and Latino boys, I get invited to the Obama White House to advise his administration on gun violence and policing. I'm sitting in the Eisenhower building for 4 hours talking to his domestic policy council, and I'm daydreaming because the Oval Office, you can see it from the window. I'm looking outside the window, hoping I'll see Obama out there. Well, I didn't see him, but in the evening, there was a gathering at the White House lawn. President Obama came out and talked to the people that were there. And then he came up to, I was with my family. I was holding my son in my arm. And he comes up to my son and I, and he tells my son, he puts up his hand and he tells my son, give me 5, don't leave me hanging. In that moment, that Obama's hand and my little 4-year-old son's hands touched, guess who I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about my teacher who had believed in me. I'm thinking about the mentors that she had connected me with that believed in me. I'm thinking about the educational opportunities that were provided to me, that this poor kid from the streets of Oakland, California, with a mother that worked hard, but had only had the opportunity of a 3rd grade education, is now meeting the President of the United States, and that his son, a little Latino boy, is able to high-five the President of the United States of America. We've come a long way, and we'll continue to come a long way with our community, our Latino community, and build more leaders. Jorge Ramos says that the first Latino president of the United States has already been born. And so what that means is that we have to continue to provide educational opportunities to our children in the state of Arizona, in this case, so that they continue to thrive, not just survive, but also thrive, so that they continue to be able to provide for their families and to strengthen their communities, and better yet, to make America a better place, to make America the dream that it promises to be, and to make America truly believe that all of us, regardless of our race, regardless of where we come from, all of us can contribute in a positive way. Thank you very much for your time.
Wow, truly, truly incredible. I think I had goosebumps and knot in my throat and tears in my eyes so many times as you spoke, Dr. Rios. Muchísimas gracias for such a powerful presentation this morning. And I think it's super important. You mentioned so many things. One of the things that I want to mention is resilience. That word is so powerful, especially as a Latino community. Resilience, está en nuestra sangre salir adelante. So it's so powerful. Dr. Rios, muchísimas gracias una vez más. We really appreciate your time this morning. And now it's time for what we've all been waiting for, and I'm going to take this opportunity to thank the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I think I've been with you during the DATOS presentation for 3 or 4 years now. It is really my pleasure to do this every year. Such important information that we get from DATOS, as everybody has said. So I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to pass this over to the one person we've all been waiting for. I want you to help me welcome President and CEO of the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce to share this year's DATOS highlights with you. Adelante, Mónica.
Gracias, Natalie. Gracias. Muchísimas gracias for lending us your talent and sticking with us year after year. Muchísimas gracias, Dr. Rios. I think one of the things that's most compelling about Dr. Rios' story is that he takes us from si se puede to ya hecho, done. And that's powerful. We really appreciate you sharing your insights with us today. Dr. Rios has set the context for DATOS today and painted a painfully vivid picture of what our children are experiencing in public schools across the country today. The data that I will share with you today reinforces the reality that Dr. Rios spoke of and further demonstrates the dangerous path if we don't make a deliberate effort to recognize the intersection between education, public policy, and business. For 24 years, the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce has delivered reliable, responsible, and relevant data to corporate Arizona, small businesses, and policymakers. Of course, none of that is possible without the volunteer efforts of our DATOS committee. These dedicated individuals lend their expertise, knowledge, and data tools to the publication to shape an objective and informative report. Owning our narrative has never been more important. The brave subject matter experts sign up for this 10-month effort every year, but most notably, and unbeknownst to them, they also are subject to my calls, emails, texts in the middle of the night. In all seriousness, none of this happens without them, and I'm grateful for their confidence in my ability to explain all of our work in 20 minutes. Speaking of all this work, I would be remiss if I did not express my gratitude to the incredible staff we have at the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. DATOS is a little like giving birth every year for the last 24 years. And the entire team steps in like proud tios and tias to shape the DATOS baby. I especially appreciate the efforts of Carmen Martinez, our creative director, that converts the charts and graphs she receives into a true work of art that is much easier on you and your eyes than my chicken scratches and stick people. A special shout out to our intern turned assistant editor, Catalina Perez. She is the real boss of me and manages up with grace, style, and a chancla. So let's talk data. 2 years ago, we partnered with Vitalist Health Foundation to utilize a national best practice called the Elements of a Healthy Community. It is a framework through which we can filter the data and create a better lens for impact. This wheel demonstrates the 12 social determinants of a healthy community, and every year we are dedicating DATOS to each one. Last year we focused on healthcare. This year, an emphasis on education. One example of how we reframe the data is by taking a statistic like Hispanic homeownership rate between 2015 and 2019 increased to 50%. Our conversations now with home builders are about the types of single-family dwellings that they construct. Single family for Latinos has a slightly different meaning because our immediate family can consist of multiple generations, including our primos, tatabuelos, and including, but not limited to, our crazy tia Licha. In short, we need bigger houses with larger kitchens for the tamalada. That's actionable data. So let's talk about education and public schools. According to the Digest of Education Statistics last year, U.S. Hispanics are the highest percentage of the population enrolled in school at 56%. 56% of Hispanics in school, we are outpacing white and black students. This is a key indicator of what our future workforce will be in the U.S. as well as our future consumers. In Arizona, 46% of all K-12 students are Latinos, and we have the 6th largest Latino population of all states. The 2020 Unidos U.S. report included in this year's DATOS also details how, on average, Arizona's F-rated schools have a student Latino population of 67%, and they only make up 27% of A-rated schools. When you mix this in with the fact that 86% of English learners are Latinos, those figures are not terribly surprising because children are being pulled out of core classes during the school day to attend English class. Let me be clear on this point. Bilingualism is not a disease. It is an advantage for students that needs to be celebrated, not repressed. The data bear this out, and several studies show the benefits of multilingualism versus monolingualism. This is an excellent example of that intersection between education, business, and policy. Educators indicate that teaching children in their native language improves test scores. Businesses consider speaking another language a desirable skill. So why did Arizona remain the last state to have an English-only public school instruction? Marinate on that for a little bit, and let me move on to some even more compelling data. According to the Arizona Department of Education, Hispanic students outnumbered white students and all other races and ethnicities in 2011. The plot thickens, right? But wait, there's more. The dropout rate of Hispanic is nearly twice that of whites. Arguably, Hispanic dropout has decreased slightly, but this is more a function of volume of students and less the number of dropouts. Dr. Rios shared with us how students of color can be pushed out of schools due to systemic inequities, and the data is consistent with that. They're not dropping out, they're being set up for failure. And what we do, and what do we pay those teachers with whom we entrust our most precious assets, our children? Well, according to Expect More Arizona Progress Meter, $12,000 to $13,000 less than the national average. That's a house payment. This, of course, means that we are spending less on our children. And the U.S. Census in education finance data reveals that we are in the bottom 5 of state per pupil spending. The latest figure from 2020 that was just released actually shows that we spend less than what's indicated on this chart. We are now at $8,003 per pupil spending. Overall, we rank 47th. New York spends almost 3 times what we do on our students. Overall, according to EdWeek's annual state rankings on K-12 educational achievement, we are 46th in the nation, trailing behind Alaska, Arkansas, and Alabama. I'm just going to leave that there for right now. I know that's a lot to take in, but before you jump off the ledge, let me tell you what I'm encouraged by. We know what the issues are. We have the data to make better decisions, and we have the impact analysis to demonstrate the contributions of Latinos. I'm encouraged by programs like the one featured in this year's DATOS report. Read On. Read On is a statewide public and private partnership of agencies philanthropic organizations, and community stakeholders committed to creating an effective continuum of services to improve language and literacy outcomes for Arizona's children from birth to age 8. In partnership with Maricopa Association of Governments, they developed MapLit, a powerful interactive tool that users with statewide early literacy data and visualizations can use to visualize the data. Tools like this one help parents, teachers, and schools make evidence-based decisions about their students' education. It's actionable data, and we are all about that in DATOS. So as you can tell, I'm very passionate about this topic of education, partly because I'm the daughter of a cotton field picker turned teacher, partly because I'm the mother of 2 boys who are holding me accountable for their future, but also because of an eye-opening experience that I was afforded through the city of Phoenix. I was asked to participate in the Principal for a Day program. I agreed, smugly, because clearly every school program could be traced back to mismanagement of funding, right? That was my attitude, and I suspect that of many in business. I figured that it wouldn't take me a day to fix the problem, that I would take a look at their finances, make some suggestions, and be back in my office for lunch. Well, let me tell you that I could not have been more wrong. Upon arriving at the Cesar Chavez Leadership Academy, I realized within about 15 minutes that I was way out of my element. I witnessed teachers and administrators triaging issues that have nothing to do with school, but rather social ills like hunger, homelessness, poverty, and even deportation, just as we heard Dr. Rios speak about. I learned more in that day about education than any chart or data point could teach me. We are asking our children to succeed at math and English when they don't have food in their bellies, when they don't know where they're going to sleep tonight, or whether their parents will be home when they arrive from school. Why is this relevant? Those same students are our future workforce, the next generation of business owners, and the new political voice. In fact, Latinos are now over 60 million strong in the US, and this does not include the 3 million in Puerto Rico or the undocumented. If US Hispanics were their own country, they would be the 25th largest of the 233 recognized countries in the world. This population is larger than that of Spain and every Latin American country except for Mexico and Brazil. 20 years ago, it was 60% foreign-born and 40% US-born. But in the past 2 decades, those figures have now reversed, with the majority being US-born, because because 1 in every 4 births in the US is to a Hispanic mother. Our friends at Claritas provided profiles of Arizona and major cities in the state in this year's DATOS. We know that Hispanics account for about 1/3 of the state's population, second only to white non-Hispanics. Our state has the 6th largest population behind California, Texas, Florida, New York, and Illinois. The national purchasing power of U.S. Hispanics is nearly $2 trillion, and we will likely meet this Nielsen estimate sooner than expected. To provide some context, that is more than the GDP of Australia or Canada. If you think of GDP as the income that a country produces, then those Latinos in the U.S. spend more than those countries make. During the last recession, the upward trajectory of Latino purchasing power did not waver, keeping the economy afloat. In Arizona, Latinos are estimated to reach $57 billion in 2022. Again, we will likely surpass that figure sooner than later. However, the greatest increases have been in business. Between 2002 and 2019, Hispanic businesses in the U.S. more than doubled from 1.5 million to 4.65 million. The Stanford Latino Entrepreneurship Initiative study indicates that in one decade, while all other U.S. business owners grew 1%, Latino business owners grew by 34%, while their white counterparts decreased by 6%. Still, Latino-owned companies' average revenues of $1.2 million per year are less, while non-Latino companies make almost double than that in annual revenue. We see this in Arizona as well, where Hispanic firms are making on average $110,000 in annual revenue, and non-Hispanic firms make significantly more in average annual revenue at $500,000. This disparity accounts for a gap of about $36 billion not being actualized in Arizona's economy. We know that Hispanic entrepreneurs are twice as likely to be college educated and make 50% more in income. That is a citizenry that we want. But unless we make an investment in our K-12 system, we will lose another generation of students. Our children are our future, and they deserve better. Without an educated and skilled workforce, our legacy won't matter. Remember, those kids that we are failing will be picking our nursing homes. We should be kinder to them. I know this is a lot to digest, so please register to join an interactive virtual conversation with Dr. Rios and our local subject matter experts to unpack this topic even more next week on October 22nd at 10 a.m. Finding the right answers starts with asking the right questions, so please use the link in the chat box to register. Also, if you have found value in today's program, please consider a donation to the AZHCC Foundation Scholarship Fund to advance Latino students attending Arizona universities. The link to donate is also in the chat box. Our next signature event is the Business Diversity Summit, and we want to make sure that you attend that event. Registration will be open next week, and we will be working with local subject matter experts and national experts on the topic of supplier diversity. In closing, I want to thank our MC, Natalie Valenzuela, our keynote speaker, Dr. Rios, and especially all of you in the audience for supporting this event every year. The Phoenix Business Journal has generously provided a preview of the DATOS content, so please click the link in the chat box for your advance copy. To receive a full copy of the report, you will need to answer the survey that you receive in an email after this program. And finally, thank you to our premier sponsor, SRP, and our other event sponsors, Cox Communications, APS, Mayo Clinic, Univision, and the Phoenix Business Journal. I can't think of a better way to spend the last day of Hispanic Heritage Month than by voting. So please get out and vote. Remind them that we are more than just 1 month of the year. We are here all year long.
Together, we're protecting what matters most. Our home, our community, our way of life, the people we care about, and the future we're building. Through technology, innovation, and commitment, we're safeguarding water today and planning for tomorrow, so we can all have the water we need for generations to come. Learn how to do your part at srpnet.com/water.
Good morning, students.
Professor Ramona and I are going to be working on fractions today.
Encuentra el país.
Down, Campbell Sheep!
Excuse me.
Teachers are doing whatever it takes to connect with their students.
202.
And Cox is too, by connecting over 125,000 eligible students in need with low-cost internet.
Who wants to see it again?
With the Connect to Compete program from Cox.
The Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is grateful for the generous support of our event sponsors, including SRP, Cox Communications, APS, Vitalist Health Foundation, Mayo Clinic, the Phoenix Business Journal, and Univision.